Hello and welcome. You're watching Tracking COVID-19. I am Anil Thomas. Lockdown 3.0 and we are into day 13 of it. This is our special half-an-hour show in which we tell you all the developments on the pandemic. We also get you inputs from the steps taken by the administration, inputs by our correspondents, global developments and also experts' advice. All packed together in the next 30 minutes. Let's begin with the top updates. Ministry of Home Affairs asks states and union territories to ensure migrant workers do not have to walk back home and take up the journey only in buses and Shramik special trains being run by the government. Finance Minister announces 1 lakh crore agriculture infrastructure fund for farm gate infrastructure. Prime Minister Modi welcomes the measures, says they will help the rural economy, our hard-working farmers, fishermen, the animal husbandry and dairy sectors. ₹20,000 crore pumped in for fishermen through Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. 15,000 crores marked for Animal Husbandry Infrastructure Development Fund, 4,000 crores for promotion of herbal cultivation. Second phase of Vande Bharat mission to bring back stranded Indians begins. About 30,000 Indians will be returning to India during phase 2. United States President Donald Trump announces that US stands with India and Prime Minister Modi and we will beat the invisible enemy together, says cooperating with India on vaccine development. Active COVID-19 cases in India reach 53,035. Total death toll reaches 2,752. 30,152 patients recover. Global tally of confirmed COVID-19 cases goes over 45,34,000 with over 3,000 deaths. Cases in Russia crossed the 2,60,000 mark, next to United States, which has the highest COVID positive cases of 14,40,000 people. Italy to allow unrestricted travel from EU countries starting from June 3rd. New coronavirus cases and deaths drop ahead of more reopenings. Well, those were the top headlines. Let's first take stock of the developments in India in Ground Zero. Well, first, let's take a look at the latest update on COVID-19 across the country. In India, the total number of COVID-19 positive cases stands at 85,940, with 2,752 deaths being reported. 53,035 cases is the active number of cases that's been reported so far, while a total of 30,152 people have been cured and discharged from hospitals. Well, Maharashtra remains the worst affected state or the epicenter of COVID-19 in India with 29,100. That's the total number of cases there, followed by Gujarat that has 9,931 cases. Delhi coming, Tamil Nadu coming, in the second position there with 10,108 cases, while Delhi there with 8,895 cases, completing the top 4 worst affected states in our nation. Union Ministry of Home Affairs, that's MHA, has written to all states and union territories to help the faster movement of stranded migrant workers to their native places. This could be through buses and Shramik special trains being run by the government, specifically for this particular purpose, highlighting this particular situation that wherein migrant workers are walking on these roads and on railway tracks. MHA said that in such conditions, the migrant workers should be appropriately counseled, taken to nearby shelters and provided with food, water, etc. till they are able to board the Shramik special trains or buses to their native places. States and union territories have also been asked to ensure that these migrant workers do not have to walk back home. The Ministry of Railways is running more than 100 Shramik special trains per day and is ready to arrange additional trains as per the requirement. People need to be made aware about these arrangements and counseled by the states and union territories to not travel by foot when they can travel by buses and trains being specifically arranged by the government to help their journey to reach their homes safely in their native towns. The Indian Railways has operated a Shramik special train since May 1st. Till now, more than 12 lakh migrant laborers are back to their homes as part of this special mission of Indian Railways. Beginning on the 1st of May, 4 Shramik special trains were started, and by the 14th of May, there has been a 35-fold increase. From 4, we have reached in 2 weeks 145 trains. That's covered the length and breadth of the nation, and it represents a 35% or a 35-fold increase in the number of trains from 4 to 145 in just 2 weeks. The maximum number, or 75% of the trains, are headed for Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. So far, 487 trains have ferried passengers to Uttar Pradesh. 254 trains have headed for Bihar. 79 trains took migrants to Madhya Pradesh, while 50 trains reached Odisha. The number is quite less for states like West Bengal, Rajasthan, Kerala and Maharashtra. Indian Railways plan to eventually run 300 Shramik special trains daily so that migrant laborers stranded due to the lockdown can go home safely to their homes. The government on Friday announced a 1.63 lakh crore package for agriculture and allied sectors aimed at strengthening infrastructure, logistics and capacity building at farm gate. The third tranche of the 20 lakh crore economic package had a focus on agriculture, fisheries and allied activities. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman released the details in a press conference in the national capital in New Delhi. The announcements were broadly divided under 2 categories. 8 decisions were announced with an aim in strengthening infrastructure capacities and building better logistics, while 3 other steps were announced pertain to governance and administrative reforms. The government will amend the 6.5-decade-old Essential Commodities Act to deregulate food items including edible oil, oilseeds, pulses, onion and potato. This amendment will provide for no stock limit to be imposed on any produce except in case of very exceptional circumstances like national calamities, famine with a surge in prices. Also, no stock limit shall apply to processors or value chain participants.
Very important, especially when it was promulgated during those days where food shortages were common. Indian farmers were trying to produce but not adequately because of the agricultural impetus which was needed was just then beginning to be given. But however, when in 1955 it was passed and subsequently also we had lived in days of shortages. Now what is happening is farmers are producing, there's abundance of crop. This abundance of crop sometimes also leads to issues because they would want to export. We don't permit them to export because we want to be sure that India prices don't go up. And because of a flip-flop, sometimes farmers don't get the benefit, some other times the consumers suffer. So this Essential Commodities Act requires an amendment.
Another big step has been the announcement of the agriculture marketing reforms, which will be done to provide marketing choices to farmers. Also, a legal framework will be created to enable farmers for engaging with processors, aggregators, large retailers, exporters in a fair and transparent manner. Apart from these administrative reforms, the government has also announced many decisions to give necessary fillip to the agriculture sector. One of the most important is the decision to immediately create a 1 lakh crore agri-infrastructure fund for farm gate infrastructure for farmers.
We provide 1 lakh crore for aggregators, FPOs, primary agriculture cooperative societies, farmer-producer organizations which I mentioned, FPOs, all for strengthening the farm gate infrastructure. Farm gate infrastructure are cold chains, post-harvest management infrastructure, storage centers, yards from where they have to do it. So this fund for 1 lakh crore is being created. Here private entrepreneurs, agricultural entrepreneurs, startups, all of whom are now looking at facilitating by procuring from the farmers and reaching out with value addition to the global markets, don't have the infrastructure. So this fund for 1 lakh crore will immediately address that issue, and that fund will be created at the earliest.
Also, to address the need of giving support to farmers in transporting and storing their produce, Operation Greens will be extended from tomato, onion and potato to all fruits and vegetables.
Many of the supply chains have been disrupted for the farmers, particularly during the lockdown. Operation Greens is a scheme which is running at the moment to take care of tomatoes, onions and potatoes which are being cultivated, which come to feed the cities, and they've had very serious implication because they are perishable and they had to have distress sales. So farm level support needs to be given, otherwise such distress cannot be prevented. So the scheme features are such that they get 50% subsidy on transportation. They get also 50% subsidy for storage. This is a pilot which we extend for the next 6 months.
Finance Minister also announced many other measures, including a 15,000 crore animal husbandry infrastructure development fund, which will be set up to support investment in dairy processing. 10,000 crore rupees scheme for the formalization of the Micro Food Enterprises Fund to ensure 100% vaccination of all livestock against foot and mouth disease. 20,000 crore provision for fishermen through the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. 4,000 crores for promoting herbal cultivation and 500 crores for the welfare of beekeepers were also announced. Well, after the announcement of the provision of 1 lakh crore rupees to the agriculture sector, CII National Agriculture Council President Salil Singhal said that he welcomed the announcement by the Finance Minister. This announcement will change the agriculture sector significantly, and farmers will get good price for their produce, which will increase their income.
CII heartily welcomes the announcements made by the Honorable Finance Minister today. The rupees 1 lakh crore for building the post-harvest infrastructure will dramatically impact the supply chain for the agricultural sector and make it far more efficient and competitive. The announcements of major changes in the Essential Commodities Act, this will definitely help the farmers to get the best prices for his agricultural produce on the one hand and improve the competitiveness of agriculture.
Former CII President of Telangana, Vanita Dattla, said after the announcement of the Prime Minister's relief package that industries needed such a relief package and the right decision has been taken at the right time, and it will accelerate the economy and employment opportunities will increase.
The stimulus package announced by the Honorable Prime Minister and of course articulated by the Honorable Finance Minister for the revival of the Indian economy is indeed on the right track and on expected lines. The special measures that were announced to boost the MSME sector, which is definitely the backbone for Indian industry, will certainly spur growth and help in building a self-reliant India.
Dr. Pratap Chauhan, the founder and director of CII Core Group on Ayurveda, that's the governing council Also, a governing council member said that this relief package will give a boost to Ayurveda industry as well as provide employment to a large number of people.
On behalf of CII and Ayurveda industry, I would like to thank the visionary leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji and the efforts of Ayush Ministry for allotting 4,000 crore for cultivation of herbs. Herbs, good quality herbs are the backbone of Ayurveda industry, both for treatment as well as for manufacturing of good quality products. This is going to give boost to the Ayurveda industry, and in addition, this is going to generate employment for rural population and farmers. I once again congratulate the government.
Well, the second phase of Vande Bharat mission to bring back stranded Indians will begin today. Air India and its subsidiary Air India Express will expand their operations under the Vande Bharat air repatriation operations and are likely to operate flights to 32 countries from today. In the phase 2, both the airlines will start operating flights to 32 countries to repatriate more Indian citizens. Under phase 2 operation of Vande Bharat mission, Air India has opened bookings on select repatriation flights from India on the 14th of May at 1700 hours on the website to United States of America, United Kingdom, Australia, Frankfurt, Paris and Singapore under the second phase. During this particular phase, that's phase 2, about 30,000 Indians will be returning to India, which is almost double of the 14,800 Indians, which was the target number for the first phase. At present, 2 airlines are flying back Indian citizens from 12 countries under the phase 1 of Vande Bharat mission. Meanwhile, under Samudra Setu operation, INS Jalashwa of the Indian Navy has left Male on Friday to Kochi with 588 Indian nationals. It is expected to reach Kochi by Sunday morning. The ship is making its second trip back home from Maldives as part of the Samudra Setu mission for evacuation of Indian nationals from foreign countries. The ship had earlier brought back 698 Indian nationals to Kochi last Sunday. Another ship, INS Magar, had reached Kochi with 202 Indian nationals. Indian High Commissioner thanked the Maldives government for its assistance in evacuating Indians. Well, back home and heading to Mumbai, as the city of Mumbai is running out of space for quarantine, BMC has decided to quarantine the COVID victims at Wankhede Cricket Stadium. Civic body of Mumbai Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai has issued an order to the Mumbai Cricket Association owned Wankhede Stadium to use it as a center for quarantine. This has been necessitated as with the virus spreading rapidly, there is space shortage in hospitals with thousands getting admitted for treatment. The MCGM Assistant Commissioner A. Ward has directed the Maharashtra Cricket Association to hand over the possession of the hotel, lodge, club, exhibition centers, dormitories, marriage halls, Gymkhana hall with immediate effect. The said premise will be used for emergency staff of the A ward and for quarantining the persons in contact with the positive COVID-19 patients and are not symptomatic. With Dharavi in Mumbai severely hit due to the COVID-19 pandemic, 2,646 centers have been set up in the city as it looks to tackle the situation. Meanwhile, in West Bengal, the bus service will be largely normal from next week in Kolkata. The government buses are now running, but from Monday onwards, both private buses and taxis will expectedly resume services outside the containment zones. The passengers would have to fork out almost threefold extra to avail the bus service. Anibrita Bhattacharya files this particular report.
Bus services will be largely normal in the city from next week because the government is mulling all possibilities to run private buses and also taxis from Monday onwards. So far what we have seen that the government buses were running on different routes, but from Monday the private buses and taxis will also hit the street in Calcutta. The government has set a strict guideline for the bus operators, that is saying that the buses that have 37% seating capacity would have to run henceforth with not more than 20%, and minibus would have to run with not more than 15%. The bus operators were diehard not to run their buses because they were of the mood that if their losses is not properly compensated, they won't run the bus. The government had asked them to set the new fare, and they have submitted the new fare proposal to the government, in which it is being seen as the minimum fare will witness almost threefold rise. Now the minimum fare is 7. If the new rate is operational, then the fare will be rupees 20, and for minibus it will be rupees 25. 30% fare will also be enhanced for taxis. The passengers also understand the compulsion of this thing, because they know if the social distancing is to be maintained, and if they are to make a safe travel, then they are to shell out these extra prices. The bus operators will truly adhere the new guidelines set by the government. If this is done, the city will witness completely a new and a different look of the transport services, of the passenger services, because Calcutta is habituated to see the crowded buses on the street. With cameraman Somak Bhattacharya and Shubit Das, I am Anibruto Bhattacharya reporting for DD News from Kolkata.
Well, Anibruto Bhattacharya, they're filing that story from West Bengal, where there's going to be a threefold increase in the bus service, both in the private as well as the public transport. Well, moving ahead now, let's now take a look at some updates that inspire hope and positivity in tackling the COVID-19 outbreak. The COVID-19 lockdown has revealed the humane face of Western Assam's Dhubri, a much maligned district because of its large population of Bengali-speaking Muslims. A Hindu man sheltered 13 stranded Muslims from Bihar who were stranded in the lockdown in Assam. They had purchased food for themselves as long as they had money. Later, they were fed by Dev Kumar and his neighbors. Hailing the Assam resident for this gesture, Vice President in a tweet said, reflecting India's tradition of communal bonding and brotherhood, a Hindu man sheltered 13 Muslim workers stranded due to the lockdown in Assam's Dhubri district. Well, Manrega is turning out to be a huge boon for villagers fighting the effects of COVID-19 on the Indian economy. With proper social distancing and sanitization, Manrega is helping the poor as money gets transferred directly into their accounts. Vishal Baristo brings you this ground report from Machwa village in Jaipur.
20 kilometers from Jaipur, this is Machwa village, and as you can see, the Manrega work is on, and let's talk to some of the people who are localites here. Let's talk to them. अच्छा ये बताइए कि ये मनरेगा का काम तो हर बार करते हैं आप, इस बार क्या खास है?
इस बार कि हमारा काम बंद हो चुका है, इसलिए बेरोजगार हो गए और नरेगा के काम चलेगा तो हम गुजार कर जाएगा घर.
She says that because of lockdown she is facing employment problem and Manrega has provided the opportunity. तो ये अच्छा है आपके लिए?
हाँ अच्छा है, घर का गुजार तो चल जाएगा ना.
She says that I am able to run my family and to cater to the requirements of the family. Let's talk to the सरपंच of this village. जगदीश जी ये बताइए कि ये मनरेगा का काम जो चल रहा है इस बार क्या नया है इसमें?
इसमें नया है कि लोग लॉकडाउन की वजह से लोग बेरोजगार हो गए थे, काम धंधा सब ठप पड़ गया था, इसलिए ब्रह्मास्त्र साबित होगा. इस लोगों को संजीवनी मिलेगी, रोजगार उपलब्ध होंगे, इसलिए गरीबों को बहुत फायदा होगा.
As you heard, he says that Manrega has provided the much needed lifeline to these people in the villages. Everything is computerized, everything is transparent, so that there is no corruption. And as you can see, with proper social distancing, the Manrega work is on here. Vishal Baristo for DD India, Machwa, Jaipur.
While migrant workers continue to return to Bihar from other parts of the country, Shramik special trains carrying around 1,600 passengers reached Darbhanga from Mumbai yesterday evening. Screening of all the passengers were conducted after they deboarded the train, and a stamp of quarantine was put on their hands. After providing food, the migrant workers were helped with buses which took them to their respective destinations. Many of the migrant workers said that they were facing a lot of food and water related problems in Mumbai, and now that is why it is better for them to return home. Shramik train was 8 hours delayed, but still these workers are happy to reach home at last. Well, let's now scan through the developments from across the globe in World Wrap. Meanwhile, the global COVID-19 death toll has surpassed the 3 lakh mark, while the number of cases from across the world crossed the 45 lakh mark. As per the latest data, the global death toll stood at 3,07,486. The U.S. currently accounted for the highest number of casualties due to coronavirus in the world at 87,530 lives lost, followed by United Kingdom in the second place. The other countries with over 20,000 deaths reported are Italy, France and Spain. US President Donald Trump has lauded the Indian-American scientists and researchers for their efforts in developing medicines and vaccines to treat the COVID-19 patients. Trump said that US and India are cooperating to develop a vaccine for COVID-19. The US President also said that the US government is working with other countries to develop a coronavirus vaccine at an accelerated pace while preparing to distribute it once it is ready. Italy's government has signed a decree that will allow travel to and from the country from the 3rd of June as it moves to ease its coronavirus lockdown measures. It will also allow travel between the regions which has so far been tightly restricted from the same day. Italy has one of the highest death tolls in the world, but its infection rate has fallen sharply in recent days. Well, the coronavirus pandemic has left individuals with the sunniest of outlooks having a hard time staying positive. These are unprecedented times that require unprecedented efforts. That's all we have time for, and it's time for me to say goodbye. But do you know that life is at its weakest when there is more doubt than trust, and life is at its strongest when we learn how to trust in spite of the doubts. Take care, stay safe and indoors, being positive. Bye.